Pardon an interruption, this is Troy Hill with the Star Chronicles. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So if you're interested in making your own podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This is Brian.
This is Casper.
Yo, this is ED.
This is Darius Lewis.
This is Troy Hill, and you're listening to the Knights at the Sound Table.
Strip club voice. And
I'm letting them know that they're listening to the night.
No,
Knights at the Sound Table.
We sitting at the table, son.
Yeah. I might also add in that Brian's the only person got a Tinder profile pic and stuff on his thing here.
How's we gonna get through a podcast, man? Cause we be dying
Yeah, was that Ric Flair in the background?
We going in the realms that I'm not familiar with. You 50 years old with some skinny jeans and shit.
I'm not physically designed to wear skinny jeans.
Yeah.
I would need to have like skinny jeans, like a kangaroo pouch down there. Because I couldn't wear them any other kind of way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Knights at the Sound Table, and I'm your host, Troy Hill. How you doing? How you feel? It's a wonderful day, wonderful evening. Hell, it might be a wonderful Sunday. It depends on when you listen. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you listening into the show this time or evening or whatever time you're listening to it. But we got a co-host. We got Ed. We got Cedric. And we got Darius. How are you guys doing this evening?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Okay, well, yeah, you guys got to have something. Yeah, I mean, you guys got to have a little more energy than that. Jesus, man, I'm trying to feel it. Yeah, normally Darius in the background. I'm blessed. and I feel that deep in my soul, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about myself.
Praise God.
But
hey, you got to preach.
You got to say
God preach a little bit.
Yeah, praise God to anybody that has good intentions on any human soul in the world and stuff. That's how we operate on this show. We like to have laughs. We like to be positive. We like to give a little information to people, maybe help them out. And we like to also let everybody know that we're all got issues and stuff going on, on the show. So we're all the same. We all got challenges. We all have things we got to sit there and go through. But you got to think about it that you're not alone, and you got this show to listen to, at least take your mind off all that other type of stuff. So it's a good thing. Definitely. All right, gentlemen?
Yes,
sir.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay, when I said gentlemen, I meant Darius and Cedric, not Ed. But we have a very special guest on the show this evening, and we're gonna go ahead and kick it over. I'm gonna run right with the Phil Donahue mic, just sprinting over to Cedric so he can introduce our special guest.
Yes. Tonight we have a special guest. A good friend of mine, been a good friend of mine for almost a decade now. A very successful businessman, father, entrepreneur. I've learned a lot from this man. Definitely, people need to listen to him and what he has to say. I mean, if you can catch a break like him, I'm telling you, you're gonna be worth $1 million. And we're going to keep it 1 million. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to my friend here, Ryan Wroten.
Welcome to the show, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
You're doing good.
Definitely good. Darius still not saying blessed. We're all right.
I'm blessed.
Okay, now I feel it in my soul. Okay, all right, good. Well, I mean, you've listened to the show, here and there and stuff, so this is kind of like who we are. We like to joke, we like to chop it up, and we like to also spread out a little positivity when we can, So just go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, fellas. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah, for the kind words introducing me. So, like Cedric said, my name is Ryan. Grew up, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Grew up extremely poor. Grew up with a single mom, single parent household, just my mother and my brother. All the odds stacked up against me, like the statistics would indicate. All the odds were stacked against me, but you know what? I've been a serial entrepreneur probably since I can't remember not having an entrepreneurial spirit. I can remember back when I was 11 years old, I had 33 paper routes, and I've never delivered a paper before. I used to have all the other neighborhood kids that were not old enough to get paper routes. I would have them go and deliver the papers for me. So I've always had like the entrepreneurial spirit. So that's me growing up. Avid basketball fan, avid sports fan, really. But I gravitated toward basketball. So played a lot of basketball in my life. Got a chance to see a lot of things due to my love of basketball. Met a lot of great friends that played basketball at a very high level. That's me in a nutshell. I have a beautiful wife named
Could
Kim.
you give us a few? Could you give us a few examples of those basketball players, the high level ones at high level?
Of my friends that played basketball. One of my best
Yes.
friends is I don't know if you guys know is Rayford Austin.
Yeah, Skip.
Skip to my Lou.
Yeah,
Yes.
we know Rayford.
Yeah, Skip to my low.
Skip to my Lou is
That's
that's one of my best friends. He was when I say one of my best friends, standing up at my wedding. I met Skip when he got drafted by the Bucks. I was scheduled to play in a celebrity basketball game in Milwaukee, but I was actually in New York City. I flew back, and Reggie Brown, which is one of the personalities, he was one of the on-air personalities for V100. He actually called me as I was getting off the plane. He was like, "Man, you're supposed to play in a celebrity game tonight." And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was kind of, whatever. I get there, game is over with. He's standing around signing autographs, and me and him had played against each other, actually like in a non-conference college setting, and we kind of we exchanged. Actually, we was talking trash to each other, just friendly, whatever. How basketball, the basketball community does. You can't guard me, blah 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 blah, right? And we hit it off, and we've been friends from that day to this one. So
that's great.
Skip is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson is a good friend of mine. Darvin Ham is a good friend of mine. Tim Thomas, Glenn Robinson. A lot of the Bucks, Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups. It's a lot of the guys that I got a chance to meet, because of my other relationship. All right, so Vince Carter. Just to name some of the guys. I'm not trying to overly name drop or whatever, but these are some of the guys I got a chance to meet. Jalen Rose. I was actually in the elevator with Vince and Jalen when Vince got traded from Toronto, and he was not happy about it. But I was actually in the elevator with them when he got traded, and he thought it was the end of his career, man. He's still playing ball right now. So,
yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned Reggie Brown, because when I lived there, I remember him with the radio station. And once upon a time, I had an opportunity to do a voiceover for some pawn shop over there, like Doc's pawn shop or something. Yeah. And he also did it too, but I did it also. But we were both, we both ended up having our spots and stuff. So I was very happy about that still.
Oh, nice.
Because when they said, "Oh, Reggie Brown's going to do it too," I'm like, "Oh, damn." That's it for me. But I still got opportunity, to get out there a little bit. So that was a good thing. Cedric, what questions do you have?
Knowing you for a long time, where did it start? Things clicking. Hey, when did you know that you're going to be as big as you are now?
As far as I'm assuming, did you call me fat?
Never.
No, I'm just
Never.
Never. I know what you mean. No, I think it was really because of some of my relationships with some of these basketball guys, man. it really came down to exposure. And I think I started getting exposed to other things in life. Like, I mean, not necessarily all the fancy cars and big houses and all that stuff. I mean, of course, that comes along with it. But like being able to travel and having the financial freedom, I think that's what I've kind of gravitated toward, being able to kind of forge my own path in a sense of, you know what? Okay, everybody works hard. Even those guys. I mean, like, everybody I just named, those guys work hard, man. Like they're out there perfecting their craft, the whole nine. So whoever it is, you're gonna work hard. So I'm not taking anything away from that. The thing about it though
Mm-hmm.
is somebody said something to me a long time ago, and it always stuck with me. And they told me, they said, you know what? No matter how good of an employee you are, your boss will never pay you enough money to be your neighbor. They'll never pay you enough. And because of that, I was like, well, what does that mean? And I said, so what that meant to me was, yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and I'll pay you what I feel like you're worth. But I got this house because I own the place. I'll never give you enough money that you can live in my neighborhood. And I took that to heart. And I said, you know what? I want to be the
Uh-huh.
guy to live in that neighborhood. Why not me? Right? And it's always been like, why not me? Like, why can't I have all the things in life that I dream about? I know people right now that have never been on a real vacation before. They've never been on a real vacation.
Yeah.
Like they've been working for 20 years. They've been working for 30 years, and they've never been on the legit. I'm not talking about taking off from work, spending time with the family. I'm not talking about the holidays. I'm talking about you getting your family together and you guys going on a vacation where work is not a factor, right? And I just
Mm-hmm.
said, I just don't ever want to be that person. So that kind of got the ball rolling for me. And then I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to certain things, and a certain amount of greed comes with it. I'm just being honest with you, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, but you just have to know how to hold back on the greed. You got to know how to hold back on being a workaholic. You got to know how to hold back on being a perfectionist, and I think it definitely helps to have strong support. Like
Yes.
like I was alluded to before, I'm married. My wife's name is Kim. My beautiful wife name is Kim. And she listens to all the ideas that I come up with. She listens to all the dreams that I have. And she always say, okay, okay. If you want to try it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important to have somebody that say, you know what, that sounds crazy, but I'm going to let you try it.
And see, and I totally can appreciate something like that, because like even with like the podcast and stuff like that, you can tell somebody about it. They might not be like totally 100% behind you. It's like, well, I mean, how is that going to work? Because everyone has a podcast, but I'm like, yeah, our podcast is different because X, Y, Z. But
Right.
yeah, that's just like a pipe dream.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, so I can definitely understand that. So I mean, I'm really, really glad that hearing somebody having ideas and passing it on to the person they're in a relationship with, and they're supportive of it, no matter how crazy it might be, but that's just really nice and refreshing to hear that somebody actually is getting that, so that, I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
that's
but,
awesome.
but let me stop you though. It ain't always. I don't want to paint the picture that it's always like no matter what, it's like she's like, okay. I mean, it may take a little bit of convincing, but if I'm passionate enough about it, I think she believes in me enough to say, you know what, let's give it a shot. But I'm a big outcomes guy, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
gonna give it a shot until this. I'm gonna push this until this, and then it's got to be kind of a proven theory to me. I know that sounds kind of complicated, but it's really not all that complicated. But I always say, you know
Mhm.
what, like, give me a benchmark, and if it's not working by this time, let's put effort somewhere else. So, but again, yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, so she listens to me, but I think, what you were saying before. I think it's very important that whoever you're in a relationship with, that your visions kind of line up. Our vision lines up, not necessarily even in business, but of the fact that I'm going to try new business, and because of that, I think
Yes.
that's where we mesh.
Hmm. So now, when we were talking about, like, the greed earlier, um, does that ever, like, start some type of conflict in a relationship where, okay, say if, for example, you have this opportunity, you take it, and all of a sudden you make you make X amount of money, and all of a sudden you're making X amount of money more so than the person in the relationship. Does that end up creating a problem or anything? Or you guys like still just like straight up just like team? This is us, and we're
Oh yeah,
doing
no,
it.
it's never caused a conflict. For one, I never let money cause a conflict in any relationship that I'm in. So with my wife, with my
Mhm.
friends, like money is a necessary evil. And I've even said that to Cedric several times. Me and Cedric have been knowing each other for a long time.
Most
It's a
definitely.
necessary evil,
Mhm.
man. And so I never let money conflict me that way. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I mean, money's gonna come,
Yes,
money's gonna go. Relationships are supposed to be built to last. So I can, if I'm
exactly.
making $10, if I'm making $10 million, me and my wife have the exact same relationship. Me and my friends have the exact same relationship. Like I remember I used to talk to Skip, especially Skip. Sorry, Rayford, or whatever you want me to refer to him as. But I used to talk to Skip all the time, and I used to be like, Skip, did money change you? And I'll never forget what he told me when he signed a $30 million contract. And he said, he's like, nah, man, money didn't change me. Money changed other people, and money changed how people view me. And and
Exactly.
I've experienced that. I have experienced that. But like I said, as far as the relationships that I truly value, money has never affected those relationships. I refuse to let it. I refuse to let it affect those relationships. Again, $10, $10 million doesn't matter. I'm the same me. Cedric,
Hmm.
again, Cedric's been knowing me for a long time, and Cedric knows I'm the same with everybody. Like I don't care if you got $10 million, if you got $10. I don't treat you any different
I
than I treat
most
anybody else.
definitely told you. You tell it. Speak the truth on that one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No, because I mean, this is some good stuff. Because I think this is a good message. Because money, yeah, money is a wonderful thing to have. So you can buy that fancy house or buy a brand new car and maybe plan that vacation or wherever the case may be. But you still gotta treat that janitor the same way you're gonna treat the CEO of the company. Because everybody's the same, and everybody's gonna work hard to handle their part of the puzzle.
absolutely,
For the overall best of the world.
absolutely.
And people, sometimes that money can start, making people act a little crazy. I joke with Darius, I think Darius and Lee, it might have been last night. I said that, no, it was Darius and Lisa, which is another great show. You guys should go ahead and check out A New Lease on Life. It's very inspirational. Talking about weight loss journey and just a bunch of different positive things, stuff that you can interpret whether you're a male or a female. But, anyways, we were just talking about that. And, I told her that I could have $1 million tomorrow, and nobody's gonna know about it. And it's because of my upbringing. My grandfather was a hard worker, third grade education, owned two different businesses, and he retired as a janitor at a company. But you would never know that ever,
Mm-hmm.
unless you might have had an inkling if you would have saw him on like Sundays or whatever, where he's like all decked out. You know, he
For
got
the
he got the
Lord,
fancy car
yeah,
out.
get dressed for
You
the
know,
Lord. Yep, I got you.
yeah, yeah, but it's like so many people are like so hell bent on this perception of that if you have X amount of money that you're better than everybody else. I just don't find that to be true.
No, not at all.
Because I know poor people that are assholes, and I know rich people that are
Absolutely.
assholes.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's funny how sometimes, people perceive money as, of course it comes with certain privilege, right? And
Yes.
I've never, I can honestly say that I've never felt that way. I've never felt like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm better than this person. I deserve more than this person. I deserve more attention than this person. I've never, me personally, I've never done it that way. I've never felt that way, and I never will. I never will.
Oh, because it's upbringing and the struggles and challenges that you faced growing up that makes you that way. And that's a great thing because you're not forgetting where you started from.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree
What are
with you
your
more.
thoughts on that, Darius?
I mean, money is the root of all evil and stuff, and a lot of people, they when they do get money, there's a lot of people that just completely act differently. They kind of lose their mind and stuff, and they think like they're completely better than the next person, or they've accomplished more than the next person, and it's not true. I mean, You just have to be good to people. That's really what it boils down to.
So you know what?
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
all
let-
just.
so so,
Oh,
so
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Let me just piggyback on what Darius just said. So like, this is what I've come to find. I mean, this is only my own observation. So I mean, so just take that with a grain of salt. I've come to find that when you start to acquire certain things in life, right? Money is the thing or whatever it is. I think what happens is the people, all of a sudden, the relationship that people have with you starts to change. Even though people think, oh, the person is changing, the person may become more guarded. I'm not gonna deny that, because you do start
Hmm.
to feel like, okay, so you know what, you never came around before, what you coming around now? So I get that part of it, especially in the NBA culture. Like, I used to watch these guys,
Hmm.
and it's very, very, very introverted. Like, okay, so like when Cedric started coming around, Rafer and myself, Rafer's an outgoing guy. So like he's kind of the exception to the rule. But most of those guys would be like, wait a minute, whose guy is this? And you be like, oh, somebody in the crew kind of vouches for him. Now all of a sudden you're cool. But before that, it's kind of guarded, right? But I've
Yes.
come, people have come to me and said, Ryan, you know what? You're doing well now. These are people that I grew up with off at 10th and Locust. And I don't know if you guys know what 10th and Locust is. 10th and Locust is one of the toughest ghettos in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And
Yeah.
that's where I
Hmm.
was born and raised, right? And so
Hmm.
so coming from that environment, I grew up with a certain people, right?
Hmm.
And of course I value those friendships, but they come to me now and they'll say, man, I have to my mom needs a surgery. And I'm like, okay, all right, man, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm gonna pray for your mom or whatever. Nah, you know what? I don't really need you to pray for her. I need a couple of, and then if you say no, now you
Yeah, you to become the most evilest person on the face of
exactly
the
now
earth.
you acting funny. Now everything is different. Like, oh man, money went to your head. Nah, like, I mean, but I've never paid for your mother's surgery. I never paid for, I mean, but if you, and let's say you did do it. Let's say you said, you know what, I'm gonna help you out, man. You know what, I've been knowing your mom for 30 years. I'm gonna help you out.
Oh yeah,
But what about the next person that
yeah.
comes and you can't help them out?
Yep.
You
Yeah, because you done
Yeah,
opened
that's
up the you
crazy.
done you
yeah,
done
you're gonna
you
get the
you,
whole
you done
block. You're
opened up
gonna
the
get the whole
floodgates
block
at
coming
that
to you at
point.
Yeah.
that point and stuff. Second
Yeah.
and third
And
cousins.
I'm gonna tell you right
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And the one that you say no to, when you find whoever you say no to, now all of a sudden Ryan is different. Ryan's a jerk. Ryan's a. I've watched Dwight Howard when Skip was playing for the Orlando Magic. I watched Dwight Howard sign. It had to be 50 different objects, jerseys, basketballs, all that. He walked away.
Mhm.
One person did get an autograph toward the end of the thing, right? He walked away,
Mhm.
and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Dwight is such an asshole." He just signed 50 items, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he just signed 50 items. Like, so if you don't sign 51, you're a jerk. Okay, what if you sign 100? If you don't sign 101, you're a jerk. If you don't, if you sign
Yeah.
200, you don't sign 201, you're a jerk. So it's like, I mean, that's been my experience, man. So as far as like the whole money changing you thing, I definitely think that it changes. I mean, it for sure changes how people respond to you. It changes how people view you. And I'm telling you right now, man, the moment that you can't help or the moment that you're not willing to, it'll definitely change their perception of it.
Yeah. I mean, because I mean, I have people I know that's not saying it's like millions or anything, but they've become successful. They've turned around the things around, and they're doing very well for themselves. But then there's like a lot of their friends. I mean, it's like they don't even want to hear about you know the success. Like saying like say if
Mhm.
you're like stage one. You starting to get a little bit of success. You're like telling one of your friends about, oh yeah, I'm getting ready
Right,
to do this and stuff. They don't
right,
even want to hear about the shit.
right,
They already mad at
right.
you because you just haven't had a taste
I
of
agree.
success,
I
and
agree.
that's bullshit. you know, because because if you're winning, or like a Darius is winning, or a Cedric is winning, that
Exactly.
gives me hope that I can win. You know,
And I
you know,
want
be
I want
supportive as I
everybody.
can.
It's more fun that way. You know what I mean? It's more fun that way. Like so if I say, you know what, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
out and visit. I'm gonna go visit Cedric. Okay. There's no let off. I go out there. Cedric got a beautiful house. He got a
Hmm.
beautiful cars. He's able to take me around and show me places. He got the financial freedom to be away from work if he needs to. Whatever. Like I want the whole team to win. right? I've never been the guy who was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to win, and I want to be better than everybody else. Why? No fun in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I mean, when I say the first time I met you, you know, it was never nothing no different. You know, we've always been the same, treated each other the same, no matter who had what or however it was. I remember coming in we both worked the same job and we quit on the same day. And exactly what you said, we quit on the same day. And you said you were like, is today your last day? I was like, yup. He was like, mine too, because we've been partners the whole time. And exactly how it went. And look at us now. We partners.
Yeah.
Full circle.
That's beautiful.
Now, it's like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this conversation. And I mean, and you know, in terms of like, it's inspirational. And I will say that there's some things, because I mean, you don't know me like on a personal level or anything yet, Ryan, but it's like a lot of things that you were telling and saying is like really helping me out a lot. So I really do appreciate
y'all having me on the show, man.
You know. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to be right back here tonight at the Sound Table.
Make some noise.
Hello, I'm Troy Hill with the Star Chronicles Cowboys Talk podcast, sponsored by Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, free, which you can use right from your phone or computer, with creation tools that allow you to record and edit to get your show sounding glorious. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So what you need to do is download the Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Did I mention it was free?
Yeah. Rough draft. My real niggas on it.
And welcome back to the Night Sound Table. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. This show is sponsored by the fine lovely people at Anchor, the easiest way to do a podcast. I mean, it's absolutely free. You got all the resources that you need to complete a very, very good show. So I suggest you use it. But let's go ahead and go back to, we got our co-hosts. We got Edward. We got Cedric. And we got Darius. And we also have Ryan on the show with us as well. And did you have a question?
Yeah, Ryan. Like I said, you said some really inspirational things. I'm kind of familiar with Milwaukee as far as like Capitol Avenue, and I can understand where you came from. And with that being said, you had mentioned that you were a serial entrepreneur. What kind of advice would you give some of the urban youth that are looking to start a business and that want to be successful. And then my second question would be, how, what kind of resources or mentors did you have to like guide you through this path?
All right. So first, let me start off by just asking you a question. Are you on safari right now?
Yeah,
It sounds like a
unfortunately,
okay.
I'm on a medical safari.
No. Yeah, he probably wishes that he was on a real damn safari, but no, this ain't that type of damn safari.
um, no, that's a good question. So you say you're familiar with Capitol Drive? Yeah, Capitol Drive is yeah. All right. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm sitting there thinking to
yeah,
myself, I'm
Capitol
like, yeah,
Drive is depending on what part of Capitol Drive, it could be rough. Yeah.
yeah, it
Oh
can get
yeah, it could
sketchy.
definitely get a little sketchy, or it could be absolutely amazing. It depends on what part of it you're on. Um,
Yeah,
the first part of your question was you said, what advice would I have? Research, 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 and then do a little bit more research. Because the thing about it is you may not have enough resources to make a whole lot of mistakes. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're getting into something that you want to be in. Don't let money be the motivator for you to get into a certain business. The reason why I say that is because it'll go from you owning a business to you having a job, right? So if you get into a business, you want to get into something that, for one, that you enjoy doing, so it doesn't feel like you're going to work. And I know that almost sounds like an oxymoron. People say it all the time, like, "Oh, you know what? You want to do something that you love because then it doesn't feel like you're going to work, even though you have to be there from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever your schedule dictates, right? But you definitely want to do the research because you want to say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I want to go into okay, there's an influx of business that started with like daycares, right? So that's became like a very lucrative business, especially like in the Milwaukee area, but I mean across the country. But let's just hone in on Milwaukee for a minute. And the thing about it, you may not want to deal with children, right? There's money in it, but you may not want to deal with children. You might not want to deal with the parents. You might want to deal with the bureaucracy that comes with it, the government involvement. There might be so many aspects of that business that you don't want to deal with, but everybody hears the money part of it and say, "Oh, you know what? I want the money." Then it becomes a job because you actually hate it, but the money's there, right? And the money's not enough.
hmm
Money's like, you know what? You're in a bad relationship. Let's have a baby, right? And it doesn't work. It's not gonna hold you in place. What's gonna happen is you'll be
yes,
miserable every single day, and you'll end up with a job, right? So I would say the biggest thing is
yes,
to research it. Make sure that that's something that another thing. Make sure there's something that you can do. Meaning, if if every employee left, you're able to do the job. So like, you wouldn't want to own a barber shop if you don't know how to cut hair. You understand what I'm saying? So that if all your
exactly.
barbers if there was a mutiny and they just said, you know what, I'm leaving, let's all get out of here. You're sitting there with a barber shop with a lease for the next, I don't know, let's say you signed a 36-month lease, or you signed a 48-month lease, or even if you signed a 12-month lease. So if all your barbers leave, you're still responsible for that lease, and you don't know how to cut hair. So you don't want to get into a business that you can't do on your own. Does that make sense?
hmm
Totally,
So
totally.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
so you definitely want to do the research to say, you know what, this is something I could see myself doing, because again, I'm not trying to count anybody's pockets, but to start up a business is very, very, very expensive. I'm not going to paint the picture that, oh, it's just
hmm
easy. Oh, you gotta, just willpower. And no, it takes revenue to start a business, because you got to have certain insurances, you got
hmm
to have certain licenses, you got to have certain equipment, you got to have certain uniform. Like, I mean, there's a lot of money that goes into it, right? So, and because of all the money
hmm
that goes into it, you don't want to just jump into something because you look over and see somebody else is successful at something, and you say, "Oh, well, that's for me too."
hmm
You don't know if it's for you because you haven't done the proper research. Does does that make sense?
Exactly.
Does that
hmm
answer your question? All
Most
right. So
definitely.
so the second part of the question that you had was, did I have a mentor, a business mentor growing up? I actually did not. I actually did not have a strong business mentor when I was growing up. I used to sit back and I used to watch guys that own businesses, and I would watch them to see if I could figure out, like, how do you balance not getting an actual paycheck, right? So when you own a business, the pay comes a little bit different. Like most people say, every Friday or every other Friday or every other Thursday or whatever it is, once a month, however your pay scale is set up, um, that's what people rely on. When you own a business, it sounds funny, but you actually get paid last because you have other responsibilities, right? Like you have to make sure that the
Yes.
facility is taken care of. You have to make sure your taxes are taken care of. You have to make sure if you have employees that they're taken care of. You have to make sure that you have enough supplies to keep your business going. Then you get paid, right? So
Hmm.
you can't walk in there
Yeah.
and say, oh, you know what? This is how much money I'm taking. Okay, well now you don't have enough money for the rent. Now you don't have enough money for the mortgage. You don't have enough money for the tax accountant. You don't have enough money for the whatever fill in the blank. So you have to understand
Hmm.
in business. Again, a lot of people say, nope, I pay myself first. You won't be successful long. I mean, that's just been my observations, right? So I didn't have anybody
Hmm.
I could really bounce that off of. So I took it out of books, man. I started reading books about people that were successful in business, um, like Warren Buffett. I'm a huge Warren
Hmm.
Buffett fan. I looked at that Steve Ballmer. I looked at Steve Ballmer. Then I started looking at people. I mean, all the way down to, I mean, you name it. I mean, I'm talking about even people like Jay-Z, right? I mean, like these people are not
Hmm.
successful by accident. They're really not. Like, I mean, Jay-Z, everybody's like, oh, Jay-Z's a rapper, and if he would have never been rapping, or he was a drug dealer initially. I mean, even I mean, I'm not
Hmm.
glorifying selling drugs at all. Okay, I'm not glorifying that, but
Yeah.
that is a business, and you have to know how to run a business to be successful. And again, I'm not giving any
Exactly.
kudos to drug dealers. That's not what I'm trying to do. All I'm saying is like that
Hmm.
person that is successfully selling drugs, you understand shipping and receiving. You understand, you understand the basic principles of business. You can legitimize yourself and
Yes.
be very successful because it's a very competitive field, right? The one thing I would say
Hmm.
to any young people, old people, doesn't matter, whoever's looking to go into business for themselves, do not worry about competition. You can't worry about competition. Like you never hear Apple say anything about another product. They never say anything about
No.
an Android phone. They never talk about. I hear Androids talk all the time. They say, "Oh, we're the iPhone killer," right? You get a 30-second commercial. If you spend 10 seconds of that 30-second commercial talking about Apple, you are a commercial for Apple. Period.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't do
Exactly.
it.
Because there's gonna be because some people are gonna be like, "Oh, Apple. Let me
Yeah.
go ahead
Oh,
and
yeah.
say,
Let
well,
me
no.
start
Let me."
comparing these two. Like, I mean, so Apple doesn't talk
Yeah.
about anything but Apple, right? So you can't really worry about
Hmm.
the competition. I mean, I've been involved in businesses where I was the 179th business of, in that particular field, right? And I didn't
Hmm.
care about 178 of them. It didn't matter. I'm gonna run my business the way I run my business. I'm gonna make my employees happy the way I make my employees happy. And I'm gonna do everything that I do to protect my business integrity. And if you do that, you'll be successful. Period. Point blank. Right. And so it's big to just to recap that is to me it's very big to do research. You got to research it to make sure that there's something that you definitely want to do. If you don't have a business mentor, read books. Read books. People write books about business every single day, right? Make make
Hmm.
mistakes. Make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. Make mistakes early so that way you can correct them, right? Because if you make a
Yeah.
mistake later, it could cost you, right? So you want to make mistakes early, but you want to be very cautious going into business, man, because it could be you can make mistakes that you can't afford to make. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can invest all this money into a paint business, and then the paint business go belly up, and you don't know how to paint, and that's not going to work, right? So you got to make sure that
Exactly.
you're putting a lot of thought into what it is you're going to do. And Cedric again will attest to this because I talked to Cedric extensively about some of the research stuff that I've done, and I mean, if it doesn't make you excited, if you don't get excited about it, if all you say is like, "Oh man, you know what? I can own a Bentley." Okay, so once you get a Bentley, you'll realize, okay, all right, this is cool, right? I want to be able to say, I want to
Yeah.
be able to make sure that if my children ever fill out a job application, it's optional. That's very important to me, right? Like Will,
No, that's a great
Will
mindset
Smith's
right
kids will
there.
never fill out a job application, man, unless they decide to do it someday, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so Bill
Hmm.
Bill Gates' kids will never fill out a job application, right? I mean, there's a lot, and I'm not equating myself to them. I'm saying the mindset. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want it to be
Yes.
optional. I want to make sure that I
Hmm.
understand credit, right? And this is all advice again that I would give to if I could go back to 13-year-old Ryan, right? And I'm saying like, okay, you want to get into business. These are the things that you need to do, right? You need to understand credit because credit is very important. Credit gets you sometimes will get you in the room that you can't normally get into. And I don't think people put enough
Hmm.
stock into that. Like you gotta really
Yeah.
understand where you are as far as your credit and your dedication to what you want to do. And I'm gonna tell you right now, working for yourself is gonna be the hardest work that you ever do because it does not stop. You can't leave at 5 o'clock like everybody else. You own the place, right? You own it. So you got to make
Yeah.
sure you
Hmm.
got to be there before they get there to turn the lights on. You got to be there at night to turn the lights off. You got to go in there on Saturday to make sure everything is ready for Monday. So you're gonna work harder for yourself than you've ever worked for anybody. But it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. And when you get
Oh
home,
yeah,
you still
it
working.
doesn't stop, man.
You know.
It does not stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's a continual cycle. What is your thoughts on
No,
that,
I mean,
Darius?
that's so true. I'm not self-employed or anything like that, but I know a lot of people that are, and what you said is definitely um, facts. I mean, because most of them tell me they're like, you know what, it never stops, and you do have to work harder and longer hours, but at the same time, they're happy with what they're doing because they're doing it for themselves. And it's like what you're putting into it is what you're getting out of it. So you know,
Absolutely,
I
absolutely. It's
yeah.
risk reward. Yep, absolutely.
I got a question for you, Ryan.
Yeah. Hmm.
How old were you when you started your first business?
I was 11. I want to say I was 11 years old. Um,
Okay, that was
yeah.
a
So
newspaper.
yeah, it's a funny story. I'll make it brief. Um, so I started off. I remember I used to watch a friend of mine, this guy named Todd. I used to watch Todd go deliver these papers, and every Sunday, Todd would go around and collect his money. Right, he'd go to every house, every customer he had. He would collect his money, and he'd make 20, 30 bucks, a week or something like that. And we were kids, so that was a lot of money. And I was like, wow. But
Exactly.
me and Todd lived in the same neighborhood, so I couldn't get a paper route because Todd had the paper route, right? I mean, I'm like, I'm not gonna take the paper route from Todd. I mean, whatever, right? So I called my uncle, and I said, can I come to your neighborhood and try to get a paper route? And he was like, yeah, you come over here and get a paper route. So I went over there, I got a paper route, and there was a guy that was out there, and his name is Keith, right? And I actually still speak with Keith now. Keith, yeah. So I was
Hmm.
11, and Keith had to be maybe 9. And I was like, Keith, you know what? Because I didn't live in my uncle's neighborhood now. So I said, Keith. Keith lived in my uncle's neighborhood. Keith actually lived 2 houses down from my uncle. And I said, Keith, you know what? Man, you should
Hmm.
deliver because he wasn't old enough to get it, but you had to be at least 11. And I was like, yo, you should deliver these
Hmm.
papers for me, man. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, listen, you deliver these papers, I give you $10 a week. He was like, oh, word. Okay, cool, I'll do it. And I was like, huh. So I called
Hmm.
my aunt. I said, "Hey, you think I can get a paper out in your neighborhood?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, I gotta find me somebody over there to deliver these because I don't live in her neighborhood." So I did. I kept doing that until man, I had so many paper routes. I've never delivered a newspaper in my entire life, and I got to the point where I was making
Hmm.
a little over $2,000 a week. Um, I was making about a little over $2,000 a week. I was 11 years old, and I used to have team meetings in my mother's garage. And I would have these kids come over, and I would literally go over complaints. And if you think I'm lying, you can call my brother. My brother can be on the next podcast. Um, I used to have team meetings in my mother's garage, and I would say, you know what, man, they're saying the newspapers are coming in wet on Route 5, and they'd be like, wait, wet? I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to put them in a bag, man. If it's raining outside, you got to put them in a bag, and this, that, and the third. So to get compliance from that, I used to say, okay, listen, I had a bike, I had an old beat up dirt bike, and I cleaned the bike up and I spray painted it, and I say, listen, the person who goes on route with the most papers, right? With the most papers, no complaints. I'm giving them this bike. And they're like, what? So everybody's competing to get the bike. So everybody's doing the newspapers perfect, no complaints, no nothing, right? So I was like,
Mhm.
So I increased my work staff again. I added like 5 more routes, and then I went to the store. I had my mother take me to, so this is going to date me a little bit, Spartans, which is a store. It was a store in Milwaukee way back in the day, right? I went to Spartans, man, and I remember
Yeah.
buying a bike, and the bike cost about maybe $20. And I went in there, I bought this bike, and I came back. So every team meeting, I gave away a bike. The only way you qualified, though, was you never missed a day delivering newspapers, you never had a complaint, and you collected all the money and you brought it to the team meeting. So I never delivered a newspaper, and I'm the reason why the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel said that you cannot have more than one paper route, because they found out that at one point I had 33 different paper routes, man, and I was making a little over. At one point, I was making about $4,000 a week. I was making way more money than my mother. I was making more money than my uncle. I was making more. I was making like $4,000 a week selling with newspaper. I never delivered a newspaper in my life.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
Man,
that's like some
Yeah, that's a
little rascals
yeah,
shit,
that's a
man.
that's a
Damn.
that's a true story. Yeah,
Wow.
man, listen. That right there, that's crazy. But my one question to you, and you, I want to piggyback off something you said, that you don't want to make it a job. Name that one job that you had that you started at and you were like, you know what, I'm just done. I'm quit. I'm just gonna do my own
Hey,
thing.
me and you had it together. Where I met you. So uh
Okay.
so Sid and I, when we was working with adjudicate.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, we
Philip.
was working with the dogs.
That's
We was working with those dogs. Don't worry
no,
about it.
that's mine. Sorry, man.
No, no, it's good. No, so
Yeah, just to tell the dog to be quiet, Darius, and don't do no Michael Vick type stuff, okay?
right. So yeah, so Sid and
Okay.
I was working. We were working together. We were working with adjudicate youth, right? And that was actually a passion of mine. Like working with the kids, you're like, man, listen, there's so much more to life than what y'all are doing. I mean, you're in trouble now. It's okay, but you're out of trouble. So now we're trying to get you integrated back into the home and all of that, right? So, but I guess the part of the
Mhm.
job that bothered me was the bureaucracy part, like the office politics part. It wasn't the actual job function per se that bothered me. You understand what I'm saying? And I can remember
Mhm.
coming to work, and I would always say, me and Sid would have our little sidebar conversations. And I would always say, like, man, you know what? I can't continue to do this. I can't continue to do this. One of the biggest reasons why I couldn't continue to do it was because of the amount of money that I was making, and I felt like I was pouring so much into the job itself. Because whatever I do, and again, Sid can attest to this. Whatever I do, I jump in with both feet, both arms, my back, everything. I put my all into everything. So I was putting so much time and
Mhm.
energy into this, and I didn't feel like I was being rewarded for the effort that I was putting into it. Right. So
Mhm.
so that's
Yes.
what actually made me say, you know what, man, I think I'm about to get back into doing my own thing, and I will volunteer and work with these kids, right? Because I didn't want to give up working with kids completely. So I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna volunteer and work with kids, but this is not enough money because my dreams are bigger than my paycheck. And long as your dreams are bigger
Mhm.
than your paycheck, that's good to me because that'll motivate you. Like, I mean, you look at, you can go home, and I'm again, I'm a humble guy, but when you go home and you look at your house and you say, you know what, man, I want a bigger place. If you live in a small place, that's nothing. I'm not looking down at that. All I'm saying is that should be by choice. You should say, you know
True.
what, this is enough space for me. And if you say, you know what, I drive a
Mhm.
I drive a 1987 Ford Taurus, right? This should be
Mhm.
choice. You should be able to drive whatever you want to drive, right? But if that's what you choose to
Yes.
drive, that's what you choose to drive. So I'm not looking down on anybody that chooses to live however they choose to live. But the key word is
Mhm.
choose, right? So so when I
Exactly.
felt like my dreams became bigger than my paycheck, I said I have to figure out a way to increase my own paycheck. And then that made me say, okay, you know what? I have to get back on my entrepreneurial thing, and I just never really looked back.
See, that's great. Um, I mean, like I said, we got Ryan here on the show right now. Some good stuff. Lots of good information. Also got Ed, Cedric, and Darius. Well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and take another quick break. And we'll be right back here at the Nights at the Sound Table. And go ahead and buy some merch on our page. I mean, I can't be sitting stitching up all these damn shirts and shit and handcrafting all these mugs for nothing. I got a whole back
we try
warehouse
to
full
run
of
we
this
try
shit.
to run a business here.
We trying to run a business here. I mean, you know how much it costs to get some damn saddle wood and silk to make these damn shirts? Man, go ahead and buy yourself a damn shirt. Nights at the Sound Table. We'll be right back.
When I make my music, you know what I'm saying? I want people to feel what I feel. But I want them to feel that energy that I, whatever it was. Yeah, that's all it is. Because I make it straight from the heart. So it's like, to be taken for anything else is crazy to me. Keep your hands clapping. You know what love is. Say word, y'all.
Let's go out and let's not preach to the converted. Let's try to convert more and more people to Jesus' legacy. Let's not hoard it. Let's not be mad that somebody's listening to Soulja Boy or talk down to somebody because they listen to this. Let's be thinkers about it. Let's find what's similar in Jay's music, and let's just try to expose that person to Jay's beauty as well. And let's let the legacy continue to grow.
You need to get back like the rebate, and biddies need to step up like the home plate. My man, now what you know about the Great Lakes?
And welcome back to the Nights at the Sound Table. This is again, we got Ryan, we have Ed, we have Cedric, we also have Darius on board. This is a very, very good, informative show, and I hope everyone's enjoying it. But let's go ahead and kick it back to Ryan. Very successful businessman and stuff, and he has like good practical principles that I suggest you guys go back and look to in this show. You know, just generally how to be successful, and you know, it's not even about a level of success. It's about remaining humble by doing that type of business and stuff. You know, which I think is a very, very important thing. But Ryan has listened to the show. I don't know if he's listened to every single show.
You know
but what are things that you like about
the
our program?
authenticity of it. Like I think it's just like it's guys sitting around, they talking, they're being themselves. There's podcasts out there, and I'm not saying anything about other podcasts, but the reason why I was asked to be on the show and I accepted being on the show is because everybody is real on the show. Like nobody's trying to be anything that they're not. Everybody's on the show. Everybody's authentic. You guys are real friends, and everybody sits around and everybody's themselves. I think that's very important. And there's nothing wrong with being silly. There's nothing wrong with being informative. There's nothing wrong with being like a little edgy, like, you know, you guys cuss and whatever. I mean, you're just your raw selves, and I think that'll translate, and I think that will play into the longevity of you guys being, you know, podcasters, because it's hard to find that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we really, really appreciate that.
Definitely appreciate
thank you
that,
very
bro.
much. Have you ever heard the WellTech guy talking about his job skills and and trades and well, it's all about WellTech, motherfucker. I mean, it's just it's simple math. You go ahead and take our 10-week program, put your ass to work in 1 week, 97% job placement. I mean, yeah, but it's funny how that even happened, because I don't even know how we got into the conversation about that. But we were talking about like late night TV commercials and stuff when you're watching Comedy Central. There's always that guy talking about, what you looking at us for? You need to go ahead and call this number and get your ass back in school and all this stuff, So it kind of evolved from that, It turned out, pretty cool, So that's what I do like about the show, is that we can kind of just like let loose and be ourselves.
That's huge. That's fun.
Because I think, like, in a work environment, like in my regular job, I think I probably would get arrested or committed one of the damn two. What's your thoughts just like on just general world stuff right now? I mean, like social media and just social media in general. Do you think this is like convoluted, and it can be the undoing of people?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean,
days?
people put so much stock into social media that is absolutely crazy to me. It's like, I mean, you can say this person unfriended me on social media, and that is the most disrespectful thing that could possibly happen to somebody nowadays. Like, you unfriended me on social. Oh my God, what? Like, that's, to me, which is crazy. Like, I'm the worst social media person. Like, I mean, I have a social media page. I have some business pages or whatever, and because it's necessary, right? I mean, the tools, like, but I think I use social media for what social media is supposed to be for. Like, I mean, I want to be social. Like, I don't want to, like, you don't have to go in there and like put all your dirty laundry out there. Like, you don't have to put all the family business out there and all of that. But people just they hold on, like, they worship social media so much nowadays. To me, it's crazy. I just refuse to let it get that, to that degree with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, because you got people and stuff. We often joke about the pollution Indian and stuff, the little tear down his face. But I can go on my face. I can because people throwing shit out in the damn street, so the Indian guy is sad. But I can see people. I guarantee you, I could go on my social media account right now and scroll down. It's like somebody staring at a camera with a damn tear underneath their damn eye and stuff. Nobody wants to see that damn shit, because guess what? We all have them damn moments. You're no different than any damn body else. The only difference is that you're fishing for some type of reaction from something. And
again, I mean, social media, people, I mean, everybody's great on social media, man. Like, nobody puts the bad picture on social media. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people would take 100 pictures and put the best one on there. So while people are like chasing this social media perfection and all of that, I mean, it's funny to me because, I mean, who's going to put on there like, hey, social media, I'm homeless. You know what I mean? They're like, oh man, living my best life, and I'm, life is great, and I'm balling, and da. And then they turn around and call and be like, hey man, is there any way you can help me out until next week until I get paid? But on social media, it looks great.
Or you can see that smile, or you can see that person posting that picture of that big bright smile. But if a person really knows you and they look into your eyes, they can say you might not be as happy as and cheery as what you might appear to be. You might fool everybody else, but I can see something a little bit different.
I'm not big into like the whole worshiping of social media. I mean, I love social media. Like, I don't know what I did in the bathroom before social media. Because that's where some of my best posts come from. I have no clue what I did. So I feel like social media is just like everybody else. But I mean, I don't let it guard. I mean, even when somebody goes on there and put their opinion of somebody on social media, it's still their opinion, right? I mean, it's just their opinion. But people say, wait, if he put it on Facebook, if he put it on Instagram, if he put it on, like, okay, so what? You can put anything you want on there. Right, you can put anything you want on there, and it doesn't make it true. And I mean, so I just, like the validity of social media, I don't really get into that whole thing. And again, I mean, you even like when people post pictures, it's the best angles, it's with filters. Like, social media is so washed out to me. You know what I mean? Like, again, I look at the content as far as like, okay, well, where can I hear a good podcast at? Right, where can I hear a good podcast? So I can do that. Or what? Somebody just said, I went and saw this movie I didn't really particularly care for it, but I'm still gonna go see the movie to form my own opinion if I want to see the movie. But I can respect the fact that you put your opinion on there. But when people go on there and they try to like berate other people on there and they try to belittle other people on there, or all that, then I'd be like, that's not really what social media is for. You know what I mean? So I just kind of keep scrolling. To each his own. That's your page or whatever it is. I just scroll on past it. I don't get a lot of energy.
Y'all want that hit? Turn it up, try some of this here. That shotgun, shotgun. Shotgun, shotgun. That shotgun, shotgun. Shotgun, shotgun. Shotgun, shotgun.
Man, I got this job. I'm sitting here every day. I come to work on time, and it seems like they don't even appreciate it. They even gave Joe a promotion. I've never gotten a promotion. I've been here for 5 years, man, just slaving and just taking these orders and dealing with these irate and these crazy customers. I'm just sick of it, man. Oh, man. Here we go again. Here's another customer. Hello, this is Brian. Welcome to Taco Bell. How may I take your order?
Damn right you can take my order, motherfucker. This is Well Tech. I want 2 of those damn regular tacos that you got, but fix them up like Supreme Taco. I want the Supreme Taco, but I want to pay with a cheap price. Sounds like you're a little bit disgruntled. Ever consider Well Tech, motherfucker? Real job skills and trades. So put your ass to work.
Jobs and trades? What are you talking about?
You know, jobs and trades, motherfucker. To put your ass to work. Go ahead and join our 8-week program. Guarantee you after you get your 8-week program, you'll put your ass to work in 3 weeks. 97% job placement.
Oh, that sounds like that would be good. I mean, I need a job because I can't take these customers in.
Well, shit, I understand, motherfucker, but this is what you need to do. You're not going to be hocking no more tacos anymore across damn town. Join our 5-week program. Gonna put your ass to work in 2 days, guaranteed. 75% job placement.
Well, where are you located?
Man, don't even worry about where the hell we're located. We're located everywhere. 32 campuses throughout the United States of America. Wow. We're ready to fathom. Damn right it's a lot.
Well, that sounds like something I want to do. Well, how do I get a hold of you?
Yeah, let me go ahead and complete my order, and I'll pull around there in a second. Second, I want 1 ball of Dr. Pepper. But could you put it in a large glass for the small fry?
I sure could, sir. I'll be more than happy to do that for you.
See, you started to think you're using your damn noodle. We have a 5-point plan, which each 2 of those points is highly effective. And putting your ass to work. You should try 7 of our 5 plans that we have. And I know that might not make sense, but it's simple math, motherfuckers. Don't question me.
5 or 7 point plan.
There's a 10% chance of that. 62% job placement.
Well, first you said it was like 93, and now you're saying it's 62. I mean, what is it?
Simple math, motherfucker. I don't like to repeat myself. There's a 7-point plan. 3 of the parts plan is highly effective. You join our 17-week program, put your ass to work in 1 week, 97% job placement.
Well, how do I know if I'm smart enough to be able to be in the program?
Have you listened to every word I've said, motherfucker?
Yeah, I heard it, but it just seems like it's.
Listen. That means you're smart enough. Let me go ahead and pull on over, and I'll give you the information for Well Tech USA. Well Tech USA. Get a job and you'll get paid. The women will dig you. You'll get laid. Well Tech. What you waiting for, motherfucker?
What is the magic that makes one's eyes sparkle and gleam, light up the skies? The name of the game is
Let's show these motherfuckers that it's true and not just a hobby.
And we're back here next to the sound table. We have Ryan. We also have Cedric, and we have Darius, and we got Ed lurking around somewhere in the background.
He's on the still on that safari. That's what it is.
Yeah. He's on that stuff today. Yeah, the safari, the type of safari that nobody wants to be on. That's what he's on right now.
Well, it sounded like they had fear playing that pan flute.
Yeah, well, the pan flute is exquisite in itself, because it's handcrafted out in Persia, I believe, somewhere. But Ryan, what do you like to do in your spare time? When you do have some like free time? Is it like specific music do you listen to, or what do you do?
Man, you know what? In my free time, I definitely like to spend it with my family. I know all that sounds corny, but I really love spending time with my family though. Like, just hanging out with my son, hanging out with my wife, hanging out, like hanging out with my friends. I'm a huge Packer fan.
Oh, why you got to go there, right? I knew he was gonna say that.
Man. I knew it had to be something messed up. I knew it had to be something messed up.
That, man.
Damn.
I'm over there just shaking my head right now, like, damn, bro, really?
We're gonna introduce you. We're gonna get you there.
No, you're not.
Yeah, we gonna get at least one.
I'm gonna edit it to Cowboys after the show is over.
Hang on a second. Where's my attorney's number?
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I love the Dallas Cowboys.
That part he said, "It's like hi, I'm Ryan," and then like a small Asian voice will say, "I love the Dallas."
Yeah. I gotta do what I gotta do, man. I gotta do what I gotta do.
But no, I love spending time with my family. I'm a big movie guy. You know what I mean? I'm a huge sports person, so I watch all kind of sports. I love going to movies. And as far as music, man, I'm old school R&B, old school hip hop. I listen to classic rock. I listen to a little bit of everything, right? So I like to just kick back in my downtime, man. I like to kick back and just relax as much as possible. But like I said, I go to the gun range. It's a variety of things that I do. I need a hobby. I need like the one thing that I'm like, oh, you know what? On the weekends, I just fill it with everything I can do, man. Because sometimes I'm so busy throughout the week, and I make sure that I travel like in my free time. So like I make sure that we go on a family trip every year, and I make sure that me and my wife go on a private trip every year. And you know what? And even with you guys now, you know what I mean? Like if you guys, I love to do guy trips. You know what I'm saying? Like all the guys get together and we go and we need to recharge each other's batteries sometimes, man. It's hard being the head of a household, and especially, as black men, I'll say it, as black men, we need to, steel sharpens steel, you know what I mean? So I think we all need to get together and say, you know what, man, listen, I know it's hard. This is hard. I know this is tough. So it's very important that, the guys all get together. We go on a trip, and like I said, just to recharge our batteries, man, like to vent our frustrations, and let's have a good time. Let your hair down if you still got hair left.
Yeah,
and have a good time.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to let much hair down, but I'll try.
Look, me and Ryan have already spoke. We going to All-Star Weekend next year, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, really? Where's it supposed to be next year?
We don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it's at. We
would like to invite.
We would like to go ahead and join the delegation and said All-Star Weekend.
Let's all do it.
That was the invite. Wasn't that the invite?
Most definitely. That sounds like a public invite that all of us are on this podcast. Nights at the Sound Table. We will be going to All-Star Weekend 2021.
And do the podcast live from there.
Man, sorry. Sorry, I'm like sitting here in my little quiet room and stuff, like holding my chest. I'm back. Okay, all right.
That Indian tear is coming down his cheek and stuff right now.
No, but the Indian tear is because of sadness and stuff. I'm actually quite happy. So we gotta think of somebody crying because they're happy and stuff. Because you can't throw a plastic bottle around that Indian stuff, because he will cry his ass off. But actually, this has been a wonderful show. Let's go ahead and do this and close the show off here, because God, we got we just covered a bunch of different items and stuff. But I mean, it was a pleasure having you on the show, Ryan. And
I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Definitely.
I mean, you're more than welcome to come back at any time you decide to and stuff, because, I mean, I know as a whole, as a co-host, we definitely got a lot out of what you were saying. It's very inspirational, and when we're all, I mean, I can say for myself, I'm sincerely proud of you and your efforts and things that you've done in your life. And to me, it's just like an amazing story and stuff. So, man, kudos to you and stuff, because this is great.
That. Yeah. I definitely appreciate that.
Most definitely, big bro.
So let's go ahead and close the show. How about Darius? How about you say goodbye to the people?
All right, well, it's time to say goodbye, people. Not that we want to let you go, but we have to go. No, I just want to thank everybody once again for listening. And please, if you listen to any of the episodes, listen to this one, because what Ryan was saying is so inspirational. Like Troy said, bro, I mean, I appreciate you and your story and everything that you've accomplished. It's an amazing story, and it just inspires so many people. It's inspired all of us. So, once again, thank you for being on.
Oh, I appreciate y'all having me here, man.
Okay, what do you got to say, Cedric?
Man, to all my listeners, to all of our listeners, I should say thank you.
Yeah, I'm like your listeners. What the hell?
My listeners. Just thank you for all the support from everybody. We appreciate it. Buy some damn merchandise too. We like I said, we don't want Troy working over here like a damn slave trying to knit all these shirts and
I basically am, and I got the Django soundtrack playing in the damn background and stuff. It's rough. It's Django. I'm stitching away. I don't even know how to use a damn sewing machine. And so you know how hard that is to make shirts by hand. Anyway,
but no, like I said, thank you everybody. Everybody just keep supporting us. And to my big bro Ryan, man, hey, appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, we talk on a regular, but to hear the story, out loud and more to everybody, that's really hits home. You know what I'm saying? Like, how we rocking. So, man, much love to everybody out there, to my people. Here we go.
Yep. What do you have, Ryan, for the people? Final words.
You know what? I would just say to everybody that's listening, for one, keep supporting these guys. These guys are doing a great job. They're putting out some solid content. Hopefully I can, obviously me and Cedric have a relationship, but hopefully I can build a relationship with you other guys. I'm very open to that. But to all the listeners, I would say, I hope something I said today may spark your interest and make you say, you know what? Let me step out on faith. Let me say, you know what is my dream? Because society will pay you to stifle your dream. They will give you enough to say, you know what, let me make it interesting enough for you to come back to work next week. You have to make a decision for yourself to say, you know what, nah, I'm not going back next week. Because if I want to work hard, I want to work hard for myself, right? Entrepreneurial adventure is not for everybody, right? That's a tough endeavor. But I would definitely say it's risk reward. It's whatever you put into it, as much hard work as you put into it is what you get out of it, right? Just like with you guys with this podcast, you guys put your heart into this, and you'll get it back, right? You'll feel it come back. I'm not even talking about monetarily, right? I'm talking about just the fact that I want to put out good social content, and you know what? You're gonna get it back. You're gonna get the listeners. You're gonna get that. So I think you guys are doing a great job. To the listeners out there, keep supporting these guys and buy some of this goddamn merchandise, apparently, because this man is over here making this stuff.
Said I'm stitching a shirt right now. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. Man, it's hard work, man. I mean, I don't even know how long it takes a ceramic to dry to make this damn coffee mug. It's just a big mess. Please help me out.
Speaking of coffee mug, we got to give a shout out. We had a contest that was on the Facebook page, and DJ Barber, Donald Barber, won it. So we give him a big shout out. You know, we're gonna have contests on the regular, so make sure you're looking on there.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna hook up Ryan with some Knights gear as well. So we're gonna have to make that happen also. Which we'll talk about that a lot. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll definitely hook you up. But my final words for this particular podcast is a word called ego. Ego is just a small 3-letter word which can destroy a big 12-letter word called relationships. I mean, think about that for a moment, and think about this show for a second, because you haven't heard 1 ounce of ego in this whole episode. You know, people, you know, with levels of success and everything, you know, you can be successful and be the same person you was when you had nothing. You know, you don't have to sit there and feel that you're like better than everybody else. So again, continue to, you know, just be kind to people. I mean, we're a big advocate about being kind because, like I've said several times, there's days where I wake up in the morning, I'll be like, oh, damn, I know this day's going to be messed up. But then all of a sudden that old lady or that guy or whoever, I'm going to the gas station to get my morning coffee, they open the door for me, and my day starts feeling a little bit better. So, again, first thing what you do when you wake up in the morning, tomorrow after you listen to this program, key things if you're feeling down about yourself, repeat to yourself out loud several times, I am confident, I'm lovable, and I'm good enough just the way I am. And I'm serious. I'm being 100% serious about this. Say these things about yourself because all those negative thoughts, they're there for a reason because you put them there. So drive that negative shit out and start throwing some positivity about yourself. And it's not being cocky sitting there saying something about yourself looking in the mirror in the morning. It isn't. I mean, just go ahead and there's nothing wrong being a little confident and believing in yourself. It's all about self-love because if you don't love yourself, you're going to have a hard time relationship-wise, work, or anything else. You got to believe in yourself first for everything else to fall into place. But I'm Troy Hill. This is the Knights at the Sound Table. And I'm out, peeps. We'll holla.